We're going to get started in just a couple minutes. We're waiting for the rest of our class to find their way here. Sent out a remind earlier to remind everybody that today is our afternoon classes. Let me double check something here real quick. What was I checking? All right, somebody asked me something. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started in one more moment. So again, take this time to open up Common Lit. Go to Cultivating Resilience, which is the article that is assigned starting today. It's a short article. And I want you to go ahead and read the first few paragraphs there. They're very short, so that you can answer question 1. That's what I was going to be doing. Question 1 is a very deep thought question for you guys. It's at the end of paragraph 2, so you only have to read 2 paragraphs. And question 1 asks you, our ability to be resilient means what? Is it A, never changes? B, can improve over time? C, is something we are born with? Or D, remains a mystery to science? And now the way I said that does not necessarily mean anything. All right. So hopefully everybody's had a chance to answer those. Or answer that one question. So, Taylor, I'm curious how your sister's doing. How's Shamari doing with her little family, little growing family? All right, guys. We are at the 5 minutes after class was supposed to begin, so our take 5 should be about done. So if not, please remember to answer question 1 so that you have all of the text open, so that when we're done with our activity, you too can copy your answers over into your Common Lit. All right, so a quick reminder of expectations for class. Please remember to be polite. Ask your questions in the chat first. Say excuse me if you need to interrupt to ask a question with the mic. If we're during a class discussion or a question and answer piece or an activity, remember that you can unmute to respond to questions or ask them freely. You don't need to say excuse me at that point. And please remember that when we have everything unmuted or we are using the text, we don't use language that makes anybody else feel less valued or less important than anyone else in the room or on the planet, for that matter. And please remember to be an active participant in our activities. All right, so real quick, our agenda for today. Sorry, guys. Looking for a safe place to set my coffee. Our announcements, I've got one quick announcement for you. We're going to review the week at a glance, your agenda for the week, and then we're going to go over 2 new notice and note strategies for nonfiction. We're going to look at quoted words and rhetorical devices, and we're going to practice using those in our Jamboard activity, which I've made a couple little tweaks to the way we use that today. So your announcement, just in case anybody is confused about the text that I will be sending out in a little bit. Parent-teacher conferences are Thursday. I currently have this many people signed up to come see me on Thursday. So yeah, I'm going to send you guys out the link, make sure everybody knows how to sign up for a parent-teacher conference, because I'm sure at least 1 or 2 parents want to stop by and say hello. Virtual muffins are free for everybody. All right, so that brings us to the Q2, week 2, week at a glance. So we have live classes this week for English 4, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday and Wednesday, we're going to be working on our Common Lit articles that are assigned this week. So today we're going to work on cultivating resiliency or cultivate resilience. Wednesday, we're going to be starting a new article, which is called The Dangers of a Single Story. It's actually a really, really cool article from Anichi, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. I may have just butchered that. And then Friday on our live class, we're going to have a quiz review over digital information, which is what we covered last week, because you're going to have a quiz over that. So you have time to redo any ed puzzles that you need to in order to be prepared for that. All right. So we've checked off our first two boxes here for our agenda, and it's time to take a look at notice and note for nonfiction. So I'm going to remind you that with nonfiction, previously we talked about contrast and contradiction, which is what we highlight in pink. And we talked about extreme or absolute language, which is what we highlight in orange. So if you don't remember what those went over, you can come see me in our asynchronous times, or you can review the materials that I put up for you on Google Classroom. So one of the things that everyone keeps asking me is like, why are we highlighting things and using these? So I'm going to remind you, the whole purpose in highlighting stuff is coming up with that textual evidence that we're supposed to be citing whenever we're answering questions. So they're kind of leveled in a way, if you want to put it that way. So our extreme or absolute language and our contrast and contradiction that we previously introduced, our questions, our evidence that we're going to use to answer questions such as what is the purpose of this text? What is the structure of this text? What is the author's claim in this text or their central idea? We're going to up that now with our quoted words and our rhetorical devices, and we're going to be answering a little bit more complex questions like how does the author develop their idea and what evidence do they use to support the claim, okay? These are super common questions that you see on our unit exams, on the collection exams, and the collection questions. Every single one of the OSTs has like two-part questions that deal with this. It'll say, how does the author develop the claim? It'll ask you what the claim is, and then I'll ask you to basically prove it by citing textual evidence. So if you can't answer the first one, you're kind of shot in the foot for the second one, which is funny because that's an idiom, and we'll get to that in a moment. All right. So any questions before I go over quoted words about why we're doing this? I'll give you a second in the chat there to respond. Nobody's responding, so I'm going to assume that we're all good with that. All right. So the new strategy we're adding to our little arsenal here is quoted words. Quoted words is going to be probably an easy one for us to find, mostly because the author has already done part of the work and put it in quotation marks for us, so it's easier to spot. All right. The tricky part is that sometimes they paraphrase people, so we have to look for key phrases like according to so-and-so, or that this person also says, you know, when they're paraphrasing instead of directly quoting, we can also lump that in here with our quoted words. But when we see them, what we're going to do in order to be able to answer our question is ask ourselves questions. We're going to ask questions like, why is the person that's being quoted important? What is it that they're adding to this topic? Are they adding information? Are they adding credibility to the person who is writing the article? What is the purpose of this quote? What are they trying to do with it? And then how does this add to the argument? Is it supporting the argument? Is it showing me the counter argument? What are they trying to do here? All of this is so that when we go to annotate, we have something that we can put into our annotation box that looks like this. And by the way, I stole the annotation box directly from the Common Lit. So it looks just like the one that you put up there. So ideally, when you're annotating, you're going to be answering this question. How does this evidence support the claim or develop the author's idea? so that when you get that question at the end and you're coming back and you're looking, you can go, I know that if I'm trying to give evidence on how they support a claim or how they develop an idea, I'm going to be looking for something that's highlighted in green or in purple. So that brings us to our purple. This should be review. Rhetorical devices is something that you should have received several times over. Your pre-assessment stuff shows me that you guys are really good with most of these things. Some of us still need a little bit of support with illusion, but repetition is something you guys know where they're at. Rhetorical questions, you guys got. Similes and metaphors, you have those nailed down. And then I took our figurative language and kind of broke it down, because literally if you look up rhetorical devices, you're going to get basically a dictionary of devices. And there's probably close to 1,000 different devices that can be included on there. Everything from illusion and alliteration and assonance down to, I don't think there's anything that begins with a Z, but sure, there's probably one out there. But if we're going to boil them down, these are the top 5 that we're going to be looking for. So if you're not 100% sure what these are, I do have an ed puzzle for you guys to review for tomorrow on that. And I have other materials to support so that you guys can make sure that you're strong at figuring those ones out. All right. So when we see them, again, our goal is to be able to answer that question of how this is being used to support the claim or to develop the ideas. So we're going to ask ourselves, first of all, what kind of appeal are they trying to make? Is this an information thing? So are they using logic? Are they trying to give me stats, statistics, facts? Or just go, if this happens, then that happens. Are they using logic to persuade me? Or is this going to be an ethical appeal? Are they trying to show me that they're the authority on this? Or are they trying to make a connection with me that says we are equals and we're both smart? Or is this an emotional appeal? Are they trying to make me angry or sympathetic or sad or happy or feel pride in something like patriotism? What is the type of appeal they're using, the logos, ethos, or pathos? What is it that they want me, the reader, to think or to do? Do they want me to get up and do something? Do they just want me to share ideas? Do they want me to purchase something? Do they want me to vote a certain way? What is their goal here? And then, is this actually persuasive or not? Is it going to actually make me do these things or want to do them or change the way I think? All right. All right. So any question about the rhetorical devices? Because again, that should be a review for us. Feel free to jump in and say, no, I don't know. All right. So remember, our goal is that we can answer the question, how does this evidence support the claim or develop the author's ideas? So real quick review before we start our assignment. Contrast and contradiction is so that we can cite textual evidence or extreme language to answer what is the author's purpose or what is the central idea or claim. Quoted words and rhetorical devices is so that we can answer questions like, how does the author develop their ideas? And what evidence do they use to support their claim? And all of the skills, we color code them so that it's easier for us to go back and find the information specifically for what we're trying to answer, so that we can cite textual evidence, and our annotations help us to explain what the evidence is used to do or to show. All right. So we've hit everything. It's time for our practice Jamboard. So I'm going to review the instructions so that when I give you the link, you understand what we are doing. Anybody is running off to jump in on things that they didn't understand yet. So I'm going to ask you guys to kind of self-break yourselves up for this activity. So rather than putting you into a breakout room and you're not really understanding what we're doing, we're all going to be on the same Jamboard. What we're going to do is everybody whose first name starts with A through K, you're going to be group 1. Group 1 is going to work on slide 1, all right? And group 2 is going to work on slide 2. So each one of the slides has a small excerpt from our article that we're reading, and each one of them has a small piece that is highlighted, okay? Each one of them also has a clip of that anchor chart for us for that particular highlighted piece, and it's color coded. And so your goal is going to be to write an annotation for the excerpt that's on the sticky note, okay? So I'm going to put it up here for us all to see, and I'm going to give you guys the link. I've also given you on the slides a starter sentence that you can use for your sticky notes. So when you're adding your sticky note, this is ideally the goal is to kind of fill in the blank for those questions. So again, A through K are going to go ahead and start with slide 1, which is the purple one, and that's the beginning of the article. And then the middle or the second part of the article is here, and that's where we get our quoted words. And that's going to be everybody whose name is L through Z. All right. So in the chat is where your link will be. And I'm going to pull up these 2 slides so that I can watch them on my side. And remember, just a reminder, your little icons pop up. So even though it's anonymous, that your sticky note is anonymous, I do see, and this is being recorded, who put up the sticky notes. So if we have a repeat of what happened a few weeks ago in my first period class, I can see who it is who's responsible for that. Just as a reminder. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start our timer. You're going to have 6 minutes to work on this. There we go. There it is. Okay. My tab's out of order. There we are. I will let you know at the 3-minute mark if there's any other issues. Okay, so you can get into class. A second. All right, we have 8 people on our Jamboard at this time. I should be seeing at least, let's see, another 6 to 7 people there. All right, we're up to 10. Thank you for joining us, Jamal. And welcome, Deshawn. All right, I saw somebody started. Yep. Don't forget to hit the team 2 there in the green. Make sure you're clicking on the Post-it note. It's really hard to write what you want to write using the mouse. I know, I've tried. I try every day when I have to go to a meeting and they want me to sign something. It's not easy when you don't have touch screen. All right, we already have green team is trying to beat the purple team. They already have a sticky note on the board. And they even have more text to read. That's okay, purple. I know that your answer is more complicated than the green. I have faith in you, though. Whoever this is, let's see, I'm going to blow it up a little bit so I can see what you got written there. All right. I believe we have 2 minutes, 40 seconds left on the timer. So 2 minutes, 40 seconds. Does Team Purple need a little bit of help? A little hint as to what type of rhetorical device you have there. If you do, I'm going to say, look at the punctuation at the end of your highlighting. What do you see there? Hint, hint. Don't forget to use your anchor chart. The answer is right there on the anchor chart for you. Yes, somebody got it. It's a rhetorical question. All right, it's a rhetorical question. So is that an emotional appeal, an ethical appeal, or logical appeal? I had one out of order there. I had to think about it for a second. What do you think? What kind of appeal is that? Think about the question they're asking. What does it take for you to get up and continue fighting? Basically is what they're asking. So what kind of appeal is that? All right, we got 40 seconds left. 40 seconds. Yep, it's an emotional appeal. Let's put these together. So we have a rhetorical question being used as an emotional appeal to do what? It's the beginning, it's the very beginning of the article. So what do you think they're doing at the very beginning of the article? Are they developing the claim or are they establishing a claim? All right. The chime means our time is up. Oh, well, we got a very wordy post-it note right under the line. Like that went in as the buzzer was going. Good job. All right. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at our Jamboard now and see where everybody is at and come up with our gold star review that everybody can put into their piece. All right, so I'm on the second one. We're going to go to the first one first. Yeah. So I know we started off by introducing words of the wiser, yeah. Coded words, which is very similar to our words of the wiser for our nonfiction, or fiction rather. Very, very similar. But because our first thing that popped up here wasn't actually a quoted word, it was an example of a rhetorical question or a rhetorical device here. That was the first thing that got highlighted, and we're going in order with our article. All right, so the article starts off with introducing the claim. And let's take a look at what's on our big post-it note here. All right, that's pretty spot on there. All right, so we've got 4 post-it notes here. One is saying this is a rhetorical question. Another says it's an emotional appeal. And the third is that they are establishing a claim. All of those are correct. This third one, though, kind of lumps this all together for us. I'm going to tweak it just a little bit so it's a little bit more user-friendly for everybody in the room. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy this because I don't want to completely steal your thunder here, although I'm going to give this definitely a 4-star. So remember, if we don't understand what it says, we probably should not be writing it down. So I'm going to have 2 4 stars on this one. We're going to have this one, and then we're going to have the one that's in a little bit more user-friendly terminology. And unfortunately, in Jamboard, we don't have the option to use a purple sticky note because they're very limited in their colors. I've asked Google if it would be possible to add a purple. They have not responded to me yet. So since we have not used yellow yet, that's what we're going to have up here is the yellow one. And I'm going to go ahead and put in, excuse me, a alternate version of that same 4-star that's kind of a little bit user-friendly here. And we're going to say this is an example of a rhetorical question used as an emotional appeal to introduce the main idea of cultivating resilience. So both of these say pretty much the same thing, just in a little bit different wording. So pick the one that you like that helps you to understand what is going on with that piece a little bit better for when you're copying that over into your own work. But these are our gold star approved. I'm going to move them down here to the bottom so that they don't cover up what you need to be highlighting in your text. So remember, for 1 point out of the 10 that you get for annotating your article, you have to copy over our class example. So your job is to copy over this highlighted piece here in the correct color, because we are color coding, and then add an annotation that says the same thing that you see here. Okay, so you get to pick which one you want to put in. All right, we're going to take a look at our second one. All right. So again, remember, since we're color coding, we want to try and make sure that all of these are going to be in green. So when I put in our approved ones, they will be in green. So let's take a look at what you guys got here. I make them a little bit bigger so I can read them. All right, so we've got one that says this is children with a fixed mindset. So it's kind of summarizing what was highlighted. And remember, we want to go from summarizing to interacting with it or analyzing. Sorry, I have one little fly left in my house and he's bugging me, of course. All right, our pink one says the author is not only writing to inform people about growth and fixed mindset, but writing to persuade people to cultivate one. Okay, so they're talking about what the claim is, but we aren't really examining here the evidence that's produced. All right, and then we have an example of when someone is quoted, it's because they offer evidence to support the claim of the author. Okay, good point. But still only part of our answer here, okay? And the quote is used to explain that children with fixed mindset choose not to answer questions they're not comfortable with. Again, a great summary and a little bit of relating what they're doing with it, but we're kind of missing bits and pieces on each one of these. So I'm going to say that our green one up here is give that a 2-star. And the other ones, I'm going to give them all like 2.5, maybe 3 stars, but we're looking for a 4-star review. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my pre-made 4-star review here. I know that's kind of cheating on my behalf, but all right. So, but it's basically putting together all of what you guys have said and lumping it into one total statement. So I'm going to put it on a green sticky note because we're highlighting in green for our words of the wiser. And you'll see our 4-star review here. And then I'm going to make these guys a little bit smaller when I put this onto our Google Classroom page so that you guys can see this one, but the other ones don't cloud you up. All right, so this quote is used as a logical appeal. I believe somebody pointed that out to us, to show different people's mindsets and how mindset has been studied by showing the questions used in the study as examples. So we've got a little bit here from each one of these previous sticky notes. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to spin it. Well, that was fun. I'm going to make them a little bit smaller so that we can arrange your work. Why do I keep grabbing the one that spins? So much fun though. Okay. And we don't want to spin this one. Okay. We're going to stick them off to the side so that they don't cloud up what you guys need to copy over for yourselves. All right. Because again, that's another point right there that you're going to get for copying this into your own text. Okay. So let's see how much time we have left. About 10 minutes. All right, good job. So everybody did a really good job with this. Want to review with you what your rubric looks like for your assignment. So you're going to read the rest of this article. All right. If you need a skills review, I've made you guys a video here to go back over all 4 of them actually are together on this one, I believe. It goes over contrast and contradiction. It goes over extreme or absolute language, as well as the 2 that we're introducing this week. So if you need to watch that, you can. Your rubric is right here at the bottom of the instructions. So you're going to get 1 point for each of the class examples for a total of 2, because there's 2 class examples. And then 2 points each for 1 example apiece of each of the 4. Okay. I know that probably didn't sound right. So you get 2 points for having an example of contrast and contradiction, another 2 points for having an example of absolute or extreme language, another 2 points for finding another example of quoted words with your annotations. And finally, for the 9th and 10th points, you get for an independent example of your rhetorical devices. Okay. So as you're reading, you can use your tools to do that. I'm also going to remind you that I'm going to post your Jamboard as a link at the bottom of the instructions. So if you didn't have a chance to copy it over, you'll have it there for you. And also don't forget when you're reading that you can have your materials like the poster here up. I suggest putting this like in a side-by-side window so that you have them to kind of toggle back and forth, or better yet, bookmark this for yourself so that you have it and can refer back to it at any time. If you can print it, that's even better option. If you don't have color, you can always print it and then kind of like write on it what colors go with each one. Not ideal, but it's better than nothing. And it's got all of that information on it, as well as the 2 that we will be introducing in the coming weeks, which are numbers and stats, and then word gaps. Okay? All right. So any questions about the assignment or the expectations for that? All right, I'm not seeing any. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Hopefully you enjoy this little exit activity. Why are we going back? I don't want to do that. Oh, yeah, before I forget. I believe it was somebody in this class who was like, every time I take this quiz, I get the same score and I don't know why. When you get 2-part questions, for example, this one that says, what is the main idea of the article? By the way, this is the first question in the quiz that goes with this article. If you don't answer that question properly, the follow-up question, which is which sentence from the article best supports the text main idea, it doesn't count that for you. So even if you get this one correct, that second one, but you got the first one wrong, it doesn't give you the point for either one of them. Okay? So in its little fixed logic, what it's saying is if you get number 1 right, then you have the option to get number 2 right. If you get it wrong, you automatically failed number 2. Okay? So that is the struggle that many people have been having. With that said, we are now going to go to slide 3 of our Jamboard. And I would like you to add a meme or a GIF to the emotion meter that will show me how you are feeling about your nonfiction notice and note skills. So not about the strategy itself, but about your personal skills with it. So when we go over here to, oh, I added one extra. Number 3, you see this is our emotion meter. I'm going to show you 5th period's emotion meter. This is what they put on theirs. So you can see it's kind of a little bit all over the board. Some people are frustrated with it. Some people are confused. Some people think it's really easy. Some people are like, I got this, no problem. So I want to know from you where you feel like you fall on that board. Frustrated is going to go up here in this corner. The closer you get to the center, the closer I feel like you're feeling frustrated and completely lost or confused, or you're frustrated, but some of it's easy, that kind of thing. You're frustrated just because of other things, or you get it, but can't explain it to somebody, would be here in the middle, okay? So you can do it for yourself, but you wouldn't be able to tell somebody else how to do it. Which, okay, but I want to get you guys to the point where you can do it and you could show like somebody in next year's class how to do it. Right? So go ahead and start adding things to our emotion meter, and then you are free to go. If you're not sure how to add something, it's with this little box here where you add an image. You can either do a Google image search, or if you went to Google and did your own search, you can paste in a Google image link there and search for it with the link and add it that way. So, all right. And for those of you watching at home, I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording.